Hey, this is Anney.
And Samantha.
And welcome to Stuff I Never Told You, a production of iHeartRadio. Quick content warning. We are going to be talking about death, suicide, and the grief that surrounds that. Nothing is too explicit, but it is at the foundation of the book we're talking about. So just keep that in mind. And today we are talking about a relatively newish book, so spoilers. Go get it. I recommend it highly. But yes, we are digging into the 2018 novel Undead Girl Gang by Lily Anderson. It's a dark, horror-ish, comedy-ish mystery that is told from the point of view of Mila Flores, an angry, fat Mexican-American teen witch who decides to take matters into her own hands after her friend Riley's mysterious death is dismissed as suicide, despite the recent deaths of two popular students, Dayton and June, whose deaths are also ruled as suicide. So a lot of kind of loose ends. One of the things is her friend Riley liked to dye her hair. There were just a lot of reasons why Mila was like, this is not what happened. This is not what happened. So Mila uses her powers and she raises these girls from the dead, and together they get to the bottom of what happened. So, I mean, if that plot alone hasn't pulled you in, I don't know what to do.
I kept thinking this needs to be like a CW series.
Yeah.
It's so good. I'm like, yeah, who's not bought the rights to this? Because this needs to be a series ASAP.
Yeah, I saw some rumors that it was going to be adapted live action, but I don't know if it went beyond like someone should do this. But I did see some talk that it might happen, which would be cool. It would be really cool. All right, so let us break down the plot. But again, if you don't want to be spoiled, this is a really fun one. Go read it, come back. Okay, so Mila Flores is a witch largely through the influence of her best friend Riley, who lives above a funeral home. They live in a small town called Cross Creek, and they go to school together. Both are picked on by popular kids Dayton and June. Mila has a crush on Xander, Riley's brother. Seemingly without any warning signs, Dayton and June are found hanging from their necks in what is deemed a suicide pact. Soon after, Riley is discovered drowned, and her death is labeled as a suicide too. Mila is furious. She feels that the deaths might be connected and that they might instead be murders. Of course, no one believes her. So she sets about gathering ingredients for a spell that will resurrect Riley for 7 days, a spell she discovered in a grimoire mysteriously delivered to the abandoned Yarrow house that she and Riley used to practice spell work in. She also steals an ingredient from a local witch, a white woman named Toby, to complete the spell. Toby is wary of any spell that would bring back the dead, believing that it must be dark and dangerous in nature, so she does not approve of this whole venture. Mila performs the spell, and it works, bringing Riley back to zombified life. But it also brings back their bullies, Dayton and June, due to the wording of the spell. They soon discover that not only do the undead girls not remember all of the events leading up to their deaths, although all of them are confident that their deaths weren't suicide, they also can't go far from Mila without the decomposition and wounds of their dead bodies manifesting on their skin. So they have to stay kind of close. They start going through suspects and decide that school incel and recently dumped Caleb is at the top of their list, especially because all of them were competing for the same scholarship. So the scholarship becomes a big factor in who they're considering. This is where we get a lot of growing pains and mishaps as the group grapples with their past relationships to each other and to other people. They hash out some of those issues while learning more about each other. On top of this, Mila grows closer and closer to Xander, who is also mourning the death of Riley. They go on a kind of date. They start flirting over text the next day. Oh, and on top of all this, Anaya, the school journalist, the person behind the school paper, is sniffing around Mila, trying to figure out what is going on. But time is running out. Soon the spell will be over. Mila casts a spell to reveal the rot within and then lures Caleb to the house. Mila gives him a truth potion, and he confesses that he didn't do it and was in fact in love with June. He'd been wearing her necklace. They had assumed it was like a creepy trophy thing, but he'd been doing it because he apparently was in love with her. June and Caleb talk. Toby shows up on a motorcycle with her coven and a shotgun. The girls and Caleb make a run for it, holding up in Caleb's house while they figure things out. Mila goes to Xander for help, and the pair end up making out. But as Mila is kind of feeling him up, she realizes he has mushrooms on his back. The rot within. Xander claims that he thinks Mila just messed up the spell, and he's not mad about it. Mila flees, running into Riley on the way. Riley desperately pleads that it isn't true, that Xander didn't kill her, and Riley confirms that he didn't, but she has more to tell. She remembered that her father, the funeral director, claimed that Dayton and June's death weren't consistent with hanging. Later, Riley found June's shoe in Xander's room and started to freak out, wondering if he had, in fact, killed her. She decided that just because he had the shoe didn't mean he killed her, and went to throw it in the creek, but in doing so, slipped, fell in, and died. The two friends fight. Riley calls Mila a bad witch. Mila calls the police to anonymously report that Xander was in the park the same night that June and Dayton died. June remembers that she secretly was dating Caleb while she was still with Xander. Then, Mila learns that not only is Xander missing, but she's got some messages from Anaya warning her away from him and his family. She arranges a meeting at Yarrow House, and Mila doesn't have time to stop her from going. So she and the girls rush over, and Anaya is there, and she believes their whole story miraculously. Soon, Xander shows up with a ceremonial knife. He knocks Anaya out and continues to assert that Mila made a mistake while yelling at the dead girls. He sets the house on fire, yelling at Mila to escape. He starts whinging on about how June and Dayton were mean to Riley and that the competitiveness of the scholarship was killing Riley. June distracts him while Anaya escapes, and he screams at her about how she cheated on him and alienated his family by making fun of the funeral home, and that he wished he could have given her the death he believed she deserved. June punches him, and Riley jumps on his back as Mila and June make their way to the one escape route. The undead girls escape, but Xander grabs Mila and pulls her back. She strokes his hair and lulls him into thinking that she stayed for him while she grabs his knife and kills him. She wakes up at home and is informed by her mom that there was an accident, but she's more concerned with the fact that this is the last day that the undead girls will be resurrected. She mends fences with Toby and her coven, and they agree to be there to make sure that everything goes smoothly. The girls meet up at Caleb's and have a party to celebrate their last night. They dance and they eat pizza, they watch movies. When it's time, they return to the cemetery and say goodbye. Xander's death is ruled an accident, and Anaya and Mila strike up a friendship. Yeah.
Yep.
There's a lot more that happens, but yeah.
Yeah. You got it. That's it. That's it.
Yeah. It's a really fun read.
It is. I was like, I think when I think about books like this, and I think about like some of the past like YA novels, like there's something so reminiscent in wanting to have something brand new. Mm-hmm. You know, I love this because like I think that's why some of the biggest hits that's happening on like Broadway and on like TVs, like original concepts, and this is one of those original concepts. I'm like, yes, it's juicy, it's got mystery. You and I did talk about whether or not we figured it out pretty quickly. We're like, but like there were some plots and twists that I was like, yeah, nice, unexpected. Of course, it's sad to have to say bye to your best friend. Like that's still in the back of my mind. I was like, oh no, they're still gone though. There's no way to keep. Anyway, great book though. Yeah. Great book. A+.
Yeah. It was very sad. That part was a real downer. But you know, they got to have like that. They got to have that kind of last send off that they actually wanted,
right?
Which is how the book opens. Is that they didn't get anything like that. No. So that brings us to our first theme: is the death is a big theme, surprisingly, in Undead Girl Gang. But that's how the book opens, is Mila is at Riley's funeral, and she's just getting angrier and angrier because it feels so performative. None of this is about Riley, and it just can't take it. Like, she storms out.
Right.
So I have a quote. Oh, and so the he in question here is Xander. So Xander gives the speech at Riley's, the eulogy at Riley's funeral. And so she's thinking about that. Quote, because now he isn't just a hot guy with a dead girlfriend. He's walking, talking tragedy porn. People will claw their way toward him the same way they watch Lifetime movies or read Nicholas Sparks novels, enraptured with the pain clouding his formerly perfect life. No one who sent these flowers cares about Riley at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she just, that's part of what leads her on this whole thing. Is she's like, no one here cares to learn the truth, because she immediately is like, no, I know this isn't right. I know this isn't right. But everybody is so quick to accept that. And she even has I'll just go into this next quote. From Fictional Hangover. Unfortunately, the school choir, which Riley didn't give a shit about, stands up to sing I'm Always Chasing Rainbows, which they just sang at the other funeral. Ugh, they must be competing with it. Mila flicks through the program and notices the Christian quote, which is ridiculous because Riley was pagan, poetry written by another student, and a picture of Riley, her final selfie taken in the bathroom. Mila can't stand this farce one more second and gets up to leave, telling Anaya Dorsey on the way out that her poem f***ing sucked.
There's so many things of that. The selfie, which Riley does talk about because she ends up seeing the memorial. She's like, really? You let them use this photo? How dare you, essentially? But yeah, like out of all of the many funerals that I think I have attended, and unfortunately it's been too many, like I often think that, well, especially with people that I know weren't religious, or I know were like to have this because the other people, like her parents specifically, wanted this instead of not doing it for her. It's so obvious that it's kind of like, this person has no idea who she is. Why are you writing a poem? Why are you pretending? And the like popular girls trying to be more popular, or girls who think that this may be their time.
Yeah.
In the spotlight by saying we were so close and they barely talked to her.
Yeah. Let me perform a song we know she doesn't like.
She have no idea what the song is about. I also like sometimes when you hear a song, I'm like, is this even a song about death, or like in memory of? It sounds like just like you just made something up.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, in this context, it felt like very much they were using it as a like almost an audition, like right. See how talented I am.
I also find it funny though, and I'd rather people do this than not. But like taking someone's favorite song and slowing it down when it's like, I think I've heard it like it was a joke. I think it's a sitcom thing where they take things like Thong Song or something.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And then make it like slow to make it serenade. Yeah. But it's like, this does not make sense. But you know what? I appreciate that because at least they knew that was their favorite song.
At least you went with what they liked. You know what? I can get on board with that one. Yes. Another theme is that there's a scene where they're kind of talking about how some of the other students are profiting off of these deaths. So here's another quote from Fictional Hangover. There is a horribly ironic bake sale fundraising to plant a memorial tree for Dayton. It seems the fundraisers forgot Dayton and June were found hanged from a tree. In addition to the bake sale, the swim team is asking people to sign Dayton's framed swim cap. There's a station for a yearbook tribute called Gone, But First Let Me Take a Selfie. There's a raffle for a Starbucks gift card to the person who can list June's favorite things, and a My Little Pony face painting booth.
Yeah, there's so many things. And I'm like, it is funny, but I didn't laugh out loud because it's too real.
Yeah.
It's too real.
Yeah. And like, this is a heightened, it is played for kind of that dark comedy example. I mean, and at this point, the Undead Girl Gang is with Mila. Right, and they're seeing this and like, oh no.
But it's interesting because like Dayton's like, okay, cool. I'm glad you remember me. As where like June is thinking, what is happening? Because you're not fully taking advantage of the fact that I should be mourned. You should be screaming, crying. Right. And then Riley's like, what? The reactions are mixed. But I think Dayton herself, who ends up being such a lovable character, even though she's horrible, but it's one of those things that she just was like, cool. The only part is that she didn't get to be a part of it before she died.
Mm-hmm. It's strange. I don't know. Oh gosh, it's such a sad thing. But we had deaths at our school, and they would do. It wasn't like this necessarily, but they would have the vigils and the bring all this, and people would speak and all of that. And it just felt kind of strange, especially if you didn't know the person, because it was sort of expected that you would show up and do it. I just remember kind of being like, I didn't know this person at all. So I feel strange being here. I would feel strange not being here. It was just
both of those things.
Yeah, awkward.
I felt that way in knowing when people die that you knew were mean.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I came back with but I don't celebrate them. What I remember is they were bullies, and death does not exempt them from their past actions in their life and the people that they affected. Again, June and Dayton are those exact people. People were like, they were not nice people. They were, I don't want to celebrate their life because their life was to make me miserable. There's so many moments of that you're like, what do you do with those? I don't want to see this lovely place turned into that name that's going to haunt me forever for the memories that I remember being bullied.
There is. And that was kind of one of the most interesting aspects of this book, which we're going to talk about at the end. But, these girls are dead and they only have 7 days. And you do see them get to know each other more and hash some of that stuff out. And they still fight and they're still hurt. But they discuss it more and talk about it more. And we'll talk about that more at the end. But I did think that was really interesting. I mean, another part of this is, as you said, there was mixed reactions to seeing this whole thing. But June is really angry.
Yeah.
And she also goes through, she gets into her locker and she finds all those notes of what people say. And some of them were like, nah, I hated you.
Yeah.
But she finds out what people really thought of her because she's not around anymore. So people weren't feeling like they had to necessarily hold back.
I will say one of the things that she was mad about ended up being true.
Yes. She was, yeah, she was very she wanted to know, because Mila was very convinced it had to be one of their friends. That's what statistically is correct. So she was going through their friend group, and June was like, I want to know who that was. I want to know who killed me. Yep. And she did find out. I also wanted to add in here, it was kind of a poignant thing, but that whole idea of that they explore in the book, it's wanting to look nice or do last things. So Dayton goes to see her family. She kind of disappears and can't find her. Get a certain drink for Dayton as Gatorade.
Yeah.
Even in death. And that really, I thought it was a really sweet moment when Mila helps Riley dye her hair, because that was so important to her.
Yeah.
But just having those moments of, these were the things that were important to me.
Yeah.
And I want to rectify it or experience it one more time. Yeah. Another thing, of course, is people not believing Mila, people thinking that she's lost her mind or that she's traumatized and stressed and can't see anything. And she recognizes that pretty early on. She's pretty quick to be like, I got to take matters into my own hands here. No one's gonna listen to me.
Right.
Yeah. And then, getting these secrets from the dead, seeing these different sides of Dayton and June, and even living people like Caleb. People can tame multitudes. That I feel like I really appreciated that, even though, yes, if people did bad things, I don't think you should excuse those, forget those things. But I liked that they were painted out. They were fleshed out.
Right.
Yeah. Here's a quote from Rich in Color. But perhaps the thing I appreciated most about the four girls was that Mila was able to acknowledge the terrible things June and Dayton had done while simultaneously refusing to victim blame them for their deaths.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I really appreciated that too.
I mean, she was super hyper-focused on Riley at the beginning. Yeah. And had to do like, oh, you too. Like when she brought them back to life, she's like, oh, my bad. Yeah, I guess you too.
Yeah, because I guess
she really didn't think it was them.
The problem with the spell was she worded it in a way that was like bring back someone who had died incorrectly or something. Yeah. And so she wasn't expecting them to come back.
Also, she had buried June's lip gloss.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and so that also helped with bringing them back because it had their DNA essentially.
Right. She didn't know it was June's lip gloss.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like I think it is very interesting. Like she did do a good job in understanding that they were victims too. Mm-hmm. But she was really hyper focused on Riley, which ended up being flipped because it wasn't Riley who was wronged necessarily as much as June and Dayton was. But yeah, it is. I think they did a good job, especially like in understanding that there was a lot to their personalities, but they also had still things to learn, like June learning that she's racist. And she's like, no, I'm just saying what everybody's thinking type of conversation. But then coming around, like, okay, that wasn't nice, but I'm not saying I'm wrong. Like she still ends up being that way. However, she does slowly come to see like, okay, maybe not that any of these things are her fault, but I could have been a better person alive.
Yeah. Yeah. And you kind of get to see that happen. And I really appreciated it. I liked that. This is a thing that I know I've discussed on the show. I think about this a lot, but I think about the last post or the last text or the last whatever it is that you send. Mm-hmm. And people look up after you died. And that's the thing that will come up. I think about that all the time. And they have a quote. There's a quote from the book about this. When he brought us back, I thought that getting revenge on Caleb was our unfinished business. But it's more complicated than that. Everything is unfinished, our whole lives. There's no amount of catching up we could do in 7 days to make that better. Today, I heard my mom's voice, and it wasn't enough to last me forever. Everything we ever did together was the last time. There's the wet suction and slap of spandex stretching and snapping. I'm not going to stop missing them. Mm-hmm.
She just wanted to be near them. That was the saddest.
Yeah, that was Dayton. Yeah.
So, yeah. So it had turned out that Dayton had gone to her house just to be, quote unquote, closer to them. But every day was not enough.
Yeah. And the reason I kind of think about that with the last post is I feel like you are always thinking, you're never thinking, usually, I'm going to die tomorrow. You're thinking, I can send this very silly text and it'll be totally fine and not the last thing someone has of me. But I thought that was really... I mean, the book is also really good in doing that, where it's kind of a lot of times comical and, over the top. But it has these moments of like, no, these girls died.
Yeah.
And they're not going to get to live their lives.
Right.
Really reminding you of that. Oof. Another theme, I would say, a big theme, fat shaming and shaming in general. Mm-hmm. So here's a quote from Mila. And for f***'s sake, stop using normal as code for white, I snap. Your life isn't the ruler that the rest of the world gets measured against. I never said that it was, June says stiffly. My face goes hot as I think of all the reasons that June has ever made fun of me. I'm brown and she's not. I'm fat and she's not. I'm Wiccan, shorter than her, live on a different side of town, drive an older car, prefer Coke over Pepsi, and on any given day, when she was alive, she found a way to make me feel ashamed of that. Mm. Yep. And here's another quote. It's kind of cool to talk to someone who gets how absolutely tragically white this town is, and someone else who self-identifies as fat, who isn't using fat as a code for ugly or ew, I ate a big meal. Even Riley has only ever called me curvy, no matter how many times I correct her. So at the end of the book, when she befriends Anaya, who is a fat black girl, they have these commonalities and things that they can bond over. Another thing is identity and language. So Mila has a whole scene about not being able, she doesn't feel confident in speaking Spanish, which I thought, because her family situation is very interesting. Because it kind of felt like they were not around much.
They were definitely controlling, and like they did not understand her and wish she was different. And a part of that is religion. Like, she wasn't Wiccan until much later, but like they were very horrified. Just kind of like Riley's parents. That idea existed in their kids, which, you know, I think that happens, especially as millennials who, if you went through any type of phase, whether there was emo or whatever, whatnot, the parents got very concerned.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So this might be on that note. But I do find it interesting with the language part specifically, too, because as where Mila never practiced, and it was kind of a shame thing once again, because she was being made fun of for all the differences, and her being brown, her being Latina was one of those differences that got made fun of. Then she has white girl June, who studies Spanish, speak it pretty well. Yeah. And she's like, you know, the difference in reality is that a white person who learns a language is praised. You're like, oh my God, that's so great. Like, but if you're a person of color who was from that ethnicity and you do it, there's so much racist connotations latched onto you. So I did find that interesting in that level, because I know a lot of first generation, second generation kids, refugees and immigrants don't learn their languages because whether it's their parents telling them not to because they need to speak English and learn English and adapt, or whether it's their hating, or even just laziness. I mean, or just because it's not something that was important at that point. Like, I've seen that as a thing as well. So I feel like even though it's a very big, small blip, it felt like that difference was there for a reason, you know, especially in this moment, because she's bringing them into her world. Her side of literally her side of the, you know, train tracks, and like, this is the grocery stores that I know of, and this is where it's available, and then let me take you to the restaurant that I love. And when, you know, June's like, we've already had burritos, she's like, no, that's not what you were eating here, you know, this is authentic. And they're like, oh damn, it's good. Like that was very much that scene that I loved to see, because I feel like any person of ethnicity, they know this level of like being shamed into welcoming them. And also the comparisons.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Okay. So this is the point where, you and I discussed, we did guess it was Xander.
Yeah. Yeah.
I told you, I was like, I think I was completely confident it was him, but I was almost like so confident. I was like, is it gonna yeah. I read that in a lot of reviews I saw, but they weren't negative. They were just like, it kind of felt like that part was obvious. Like the rest was really good. But yeah, so we've got this theme of revenge, and also I would say like the nice guy, because Xander is painted as he's nice. He really misses his sister. He wants to get to know Mila better. He's presented as this nice guy persona, which we have learned to be wary of.
To be wary.
Yes. So I like this quote from him. So this is at the very end when the house is burning. Mila has come back, and he thinks that she's going to stay with him as the house burns. I love you, he sniffles. I've always loved you. I would kill for you. And the awful thing is that he means it, literally. He could fix my life the way he fixed his and Riley's. He would stab or strangle or poison anyone who hurt me. Toby, Dr. Miller, the Nouns, my parents, my sisters. Then you can die for me. And that's when she kills him. I love that because I've talked about this before. I totally get it. But one of my pet peeve tropes is romanticizing of this, of the guy being like, I'll kill anyone for you. And you're like, I don't.
That's a little much. That means you can also kill me. So
right. I'm a little, but again, I get it. It bothers me in a lot of contexts, but I do get that. But I liked that here it was kind of addressed as like, that's kind of a problem here. I don't
Right. You're a sociopath, a psychopath. Okay. I think that's where we get the differences with Riley being the one, like, she ended up ultimately dying trying to get those answers and trying to excuse Xander, and then even hiding things after the fact that she figured everything out again. And she really was trying to use that excuse, hiding him, lying for him, because she hoped that was it. But in understanding, she started to figure out, no, but that doesn't end. He's going to keep killing if it means he feels threatened.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is why she was okay with Mila killing her brother.
She like, okay, jumped on his back and was like, oh no, he's got to go.
That's where we're at.
Which I do appreciate too, because you can tell she was struggling with it. Yeah. But then ultimately was, you know what? I want to save my friend. I got my undead friends. He's got to go. He's got to go. I also wanted to point out, because one of my favorite books we've ever done on book club is Mexican Gothic. That also featured mushrooms as a horror element. Everything. And this one did too. I was like, hey.
And yet I still love them.
Oh, me too.
But I wouldn't eat them from the woods. I'm not smart enough to figure out what's not poisonous and what is. So I just need them to be brought to me in a package.
I was walking along today and I saw this huge thing of mushrooms, and they looked like hen of the wood. I would never eat them. Don't do it. Never. But I had a moment of like, I should take a picture of this and see if someone could identify it for me, because it was a lot of mushrooms.
Yeah. Huh.
Well, another theme, paganism and witches and religion. There is a lot of discussion around this. One of the things that's reiterated throughout the book is gratefulness. So Riley and Mila always say being a witch is about gratefulness, that you're kind of grateful for what you can get out of the universe. It's not something you kind of expect. You're grateful. Here's a quote. Wicca doesn't mind if you work a metaphor. Wicca never minded that Riley and I didn't really know what we were doing. The only vengeful deity in witchcraft is yourself. Do bad get bad do good, get good. Or be like me and Riley and do almost nothing but giggle over incense and get perfumed smoke in your nose in return. And here's another one. Spells are just prayers with more steps and a name that scares people. Toby's voice floats through my head. Any book that purports to have the answer to death isn't Wicca. I'll tell you that much. This is some dark shit. I wonder if she'll ever do a sequel. Because I was curious about that. They kind of explained the grimoire and where it came from, but
right. Not really. They kind of, I don't like, how did Riley find it? Did I miss that part?
I thought Xander sent it to her, but I don't know. Clearly, I would like some more answers about where this is working.
I guess I missed that part, because I was like, how did it get there?
Yeah. It might have been. I think you're right. I think it was Riley. Maybe I just had a suspicion it was Xander. And I was like,
because I know, like, the whole explanation of her aliases using fictional witch characters, and it was a fictional witch character that had, or historical, one of the two. So, and that's how it came. But I was trying to figure out where Riley found it even, and why she found it.
I would be into a sequel. I would be into it. Oh, yes. Speaking of, that's another theme, older versus younger generations in here. So you have Toby and kind of her coven and how they go about things and how they think things should work. And then you have Mila and Riley, and just seeing those differences. And then at the end, having them kind of form an alliance, or at least, not be all out fighting like they were.
I love that the other older coven people were telling on each other, being like, you've made mistakes too. Maybe it wasn't raising the dead, but...
but you know
what you did. Some of them like, be quiet. So I'm like, I did something.
I liked that too. And I always I'm happy when stories include that of the younger versus older generations and how it's changed. And then lastly, obviously, friendship. Major theme, impetus for this whole story is Mila wanting to do right by her best friend, Riley, and wanting to belong. All of them really want to belong. And it is, reading it, I did have flashbacks of being in high school and all those kind of cliques and the drama and having that best friend or having that person that you could get away from that with. So it was really well written in that regard too. I remember that. And I remember being assigned the partner in anatomy that you're like, why did you put me with him? He's going to ruin everything.
I think that we all chose our own partner, so it was never a thing.
I got assigned my legitimate bully. Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, unfortunately for him.
Unfortunately for him?
He was on my turf then. He bullied me in another class where I was in his turf. I was the oldest in the whole class. He was younger than me. But in this class, he was the youngest in the whole class. So everybody else in there was my friends, and he didn't have any friends. And he looked at me, and there was fear in his eyes, Samantha. And I was like, it's fine. Let's leave him be. So I had mercy.
Did he change his attitude with you?
In that class, yeah, he had to.
But outside of?
Well, by then, oh my gosh, I would love to tell this whole story. By then, I had kind of, I had gotten out of that class where he was bullying me. And then I won, I'll say it, I won pretty much every award that year. And he was just shamed. He lost everything to me. Ooh. So I was like,
so he was in the same grade as you?
Nope.
Oh.
We had these and his sister came up and apologized to me. It was a whole thing.
Wow.
Yeah. But
did
anyway,
he ever apologize?
No, he didn't. No, and he lived in my neighborhood too. Can you believe this? The drama, Samantha.
The drama. The drama.
But I did not pick on him. But I had a moment. There was a silence when he was looking at me. I was like, But I didn't want to be his partner in anatomy.
That's fair. That's fair. I think there's so many things when we talk about this friendship, because also we got to see a click with the dead versus the undead. There was a moment where Mila is feeling some type of way because she seems like that Riley's walking away from her, but a little bit of that is Riley being upset that she died, that Mila was able to do the spell.
Yeah, she was.
There was a little jealousy in that. And then also realizing that her death wasn't murder, but it was an accident, as well as the fact that it's her brother. So many things that they had to work out in 7 days, as well as have some kind of closure in death. There was a lot, even in that small moment.
It was, and it's not that long of a book, and it packs in...
It did.
It packs in quite a bit. I want to end on this final quote. The four of us take one last moment together. The urge to rip the grimoire out of Riley's arms and find the recipe for putting off this goodbye is almost too much to bear. But our paths are diverging, and all I can do is be grateful that we had this week that I extorted from the universe. I'm a witch. I'm always grateful. It was really moving. It was really moving.
I also gave the dead closure. Because they were ready to go, since they couldn't return.
Yeah, and like we said, they had that. They saw what their deaths led to. This profiting, these bad poems, this bad singing. Dayton sings the song that she wanted to sing. Yeah. So they have the goodbye that.
Yeah.
What they actually wanted.
What they could do, and what they could do as well in that moment, but. It was bittersweet.
Yeah. It was. But I highly recommend it. It's a great read as we're moving into fall.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic.
Zombies. Witchcraft.
Zombies.
Murder.
High school. Murder.
Mystery. Hello.
Yeah.
It's fall.
Yeah. So go check it out. I think it's really fun. In the meantime, if you have any other suggestions for this segment or any thoughts about this book, please let us know. You can email us at hello@stuffmonevertoldyou.com. You can find us on Blue Sky at Mom Stuff Podcast or on Instagram and TikTok at Stuff Mom Never Told You. We're also on YouTube. We have new merchandise at Cotton Bureau, and we have a book you can get wherever you get your books. Thanks as always to our super producer Christina, our executive producer Maya, and our contributor Joey.
Thank you.
And thanks to you for listening. Stuff I Never Told You is production by iHeartRadio. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, you can check out the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.